ready. Watch the gate. Riders ready. Watch the gate.
Hello, my name's Colin Stiles, racer Style Man Clothing. Been racing BMX for 11 years. The last 5 years I've been racing A Pro. I spent last year teaching 7th grade math. I figured give it up, go on the road and teach some BMX.
I'm Jeff Dean, a double A pro. I race for Dingo Bicycles. Like Colin, I've been riding for 11 years, been racing 5 years as a pro now. We'd like to welcome you to the step-by-step video series featuring our BMX Superstar training program. In this video, we're going to cover everything from getting good starts, popping that gate, proper turn passing strategies so you can work over your buddies, boost in big air. Stick with us, have fun, ride faster, become a safer rider.
Yeah, we spent the last 2 years doing over 60 clinics all over the country, and all the knowledge we picked up the hard way, we're going to give you the easy way.
Enjoy this tape, watch it from start to finish. Now understand that some of the techniques we showed here you might not be able to master overnight, but just review the tape, keep practicing. Someday you might be a pro.
Or a BMX superstar.
BMX stands for bicycle motocross, which implies hitting jumps and catching air. It also implies a risk of crashing and possibly getting hurt, so make sure that you wear your safety gear. You only have one body, you must take care of it. Helmets protect your head, and a full face helmet also provide protection for your face. Gloves not only smooth discomfort of those unwanted calluses, but they also provide protection for your hands. Knee and shin guards are a must when jumping because your legs always take a beating. And racing leathers are a great way to reduce unwanted scabs on the legs. So there you have it. Head down to your local bike shop, pick up the safety gear, and have a long, successful BMX future. Before we talk about racing, we need to spend a little time talking about bikes and bike setup. BMX bikes come in all sizes, and it is important that you find a bike that fits you. It is best to size up a bike part by part. First thing is the frame size. Frames go from mini to pro in both 20-inch and cruisers. The bigger you are, the bigger your frame needs to be. After you find a frame that fits you the best, the next thing you need to look at is wheels. Narrower wheels provide less rolling resistance, which is good for smaller riders. Wider wheels provide more traction in the turns, which is necessary for bigger riders. In fact, most racers like to run a wider tire in the front for better turning and a narrower tire in the back for faster straightaways. Crank arm length is another important factor we need to talk about. Most crank arm lengths run somewhere between 135 and 185 millimeters. Basically, the longer your legs are, the longer your crank arms need to be. When sizing up your bike, stem and handlebar positioning play an important role in your bike handling skills. Stem length is one more way that you can get a customized fit to your bike. Handlebar position is probably the most personal issue about bike setup. If your handlebars are forward, you have more power. If you pull your bars back, then you usually have more control, which seems to be the position for most racers today, since most tracks have been getting more and more technical. The most controversial debate in bike setup today is which pedal to run, cages, platforms, or clipless pedals. While platforms and cages seem to be the pedal of choice for most top pros, many younger amateurs or older cruiser riders like clipless pedals. While clipless pedals provide many advantages with starts, straightaways, and as a way to prevent slipping pedals, they do have some safety risks. Clipless pedals should only be used by experienced riders. We strongly recommend that you practice for at least a month with clipless pedals before taking them to the track.
Hey, sit down, boys and girls. We're getting ready for class. It's Professor Stiles. We're ready for jump school. Before we talk about jumping, getting all happy like this guy over here, we got to discuss what type of jumps we're going to find on the track. First off, you got rollers. Rollers is a single jump sitting by themselves. Multiple ways to take them. You got a double. You got a launch, a landing, middle is carved out a little bit. Moving on to triples. We got a triple. launch, middle hump, landing. Step up. Step up just a double where the launch is lower than the landing. You see it's lower, you step up in height to a taller landing. Then we got finally tabletops. You got a launch, you got a landing, it's flat across the top. Now all the jumps you find on a track are a combination of one of these. They come in different sizes, lengths, heights, and weights. Okay? Now we've defined them, let's take a look at how to hit them. Yo, you're here with the Style Man. Right now we're working on speed jumping. We're working on rolling jumps. Key to rolling jumps, getting your arms and legs pushing up and down like you're riding a horse. You want to make sure you're pushing down. You can generate a lot of speed by pushing down jumps. That's what we're trying to work on right now because, hey, pedaling's tiring. So if you can pick up speed without having to pedal, that's always good.
When tackling jumps, the first technique to learn is rolling. Most riders overlook the importance of rolling jumps, but it gives you a basic foundation and it relates to every other method of riding. Rolling jumps is where you learn to perfect your ability of pumping jumps. Right here we're going to look at the wrong way to roll a jump. As you can see, Jeff's arms and legs are real stiff, making him bounce through the section and lose speed. This is not going to win you a race. This is the correct way to roll jumps. Watch how Jeff gained speed without pedaling down the straightaway. What he did was pump through the section. As we slow-mo the tape, you will notice that as Jeff's front wheel is going up the jump, his arms let the bike come up into his body. And as the front wheel goes down, Jeff pushes the front wheel down and forward. Now look at his legs. You see that as his back wheel is going up, Jeff sucks his legs up into his body, and while the back tire is going down, he pushes down and forward with his legs. Remember that your legs are stronger than your arms, so most of your pump comes from your legs pushing down and forward. When going over jumps, always remember to keep your pedals level. It not only gives you better balance, but it also prevents your pedal from clipping the jump and possibly crashing. Rolling through jumps properly is all about finding the right rhythm between your arms, legs, and your bike. When you think you've got it, race a couple of your friends around the track without pedaling. When you're first learning, you might not be able to make it all the way around the track your first time, but keep practicing until you can beat all your friends.
Okay, we're back on working on the next skill, going into manualing. A lot of key to manual is leaning back a little bit, pulling up with your arms, and then pushing down and forward with your legs, like that guy right there. Doing a good job. Push down and forward those legs. Oh, that's looking good, looking smooth. Oh, almost went a little too much right there.
A manual is simply a wheelie without pedaling. Manualing is done by balancing your bike on your back wheel, using your body weight. When manual and double, you need to follow 3 basic steps. First, when approaching the jump, you need to keep your body weight a little bit further back. Second is pulling up with your arms on your front wheel when your front wheel gets to the top of the lip. Now, the faster you go, the less you're going to have to pull up on the front end with your arms. The third part to manual and a double is sucking up with your legs as your back tire goes up the jump, and then pushing them down and forward when it gets on the backside. Just like when you roll a jump, you have to let the bike come up into your body and then push down and forward with your legs. Remember, most manual ability comes from your legs. A good way to practice manual is on the street. Manual on the street will give you a good idea of where your balance point is. Speed jumping is when you manual up the face of the jump in which your front wheel does not touch the face of the jump. This allows you to hit a jump at speed, stay low, and maintain your speed. Usually, whoever stays the lowest goes the fastest. When speed jumping, keep your body weight back. Now using your whole body, pull up on your front wheel before the face of the jump, and don't let your front tire hit until the backside of the jump. When trying to speed jump, if you hit your front tire on the face, then try pulling up a little bit sooner and a little bit harder until your front wheel clears the face of the jump. It is possible to speed jump jumps taller than your bike. The key is in sucking your legs up and allowing the back wheel to kind of manual up the jump. Remember that speed jumping is a whole body movement, but most of your speed jumping ability comes from your back. Now here's the sections you've all been waiting for, catch and air. Most riders that we work with are only interested in jumping, but the previous sections are just as important, if not more important, to becoming a BMX superstar. Not only that, but rolling, manualing, and speed jumping skills give you a good base and teach you a lot about the basics of jumping. It takes 3 things to successfully clear a jump. First off, you need speed. Second, you need to be able to spring off the launch. And third, and most importantly of all, you need to be able to control your bike in the air and bring it down safely. Getting from the launch to the landing takes a combination of both springing up off the lip and speed. The faster you go, the less you need to spring up off the lip to clear the jump, and vice versa. Springing up the lip is just like bunny hopping. A good way to practice bunny hopping is out in the street. First, you must compress your body and then spring up off the lip, starting with your arms and then your legs. When you improve your spring, test your skills by slowly decreasing your speed and still trying to clear the jump. Once you learn how to spring up off the lip, the next thing you have to work on is your control. The only way to learn control is by jumping. So find a safe jump to practice on and use that. Just practice controlling the bike in the air and coming down on two wheels. If you start increasing your speed before you learn control, then you're going to have a short BMX career because you're going to be crashing way too much. Now, no matter how good of a jumper you become, there will be times when you don't quite clear a jump. This is known as casing a jump. Hey, even top AA's occasionally case jumps. The best way to visualize casing a jump is to imagine you're jumping off a ledge. When you land, you let your whole body absorb the shock. The same thing is true with casing a jump. Learn to absorb the whole landing with your body.
So what's the best way to hit a jump? Huh? Low. That's a pretty good answer. How about you? Don't know? Have a lot of feet tucked. You guys are giving pretty good answers. You guys are a smart crowd. Okay, the truth of the matter is, the best way for me to hit a jump might not be the best way for you. It depends on a couple things. It depends on your speed, and it depends on your skill level. Okay? You got to do what your skills are up to. If you're not good enough to speed jump a double, maybe you might have to jump it. Okay? There might be a fast way to take a jump, but if you can't do it that way, then you got to adjust. That's why we worked on all those skills earlier. We worked on rolling, worked on manually, worked on speed jumping and jumping. Okay? Because you got to find out what works best for you. Okay? What works best for you might not work best for me. Okay? Or it depends on how fast you're going up the jump. If you're going fast, you might hit a jump differently than if you're going slow. But you got to learn to have all those skills in your closet. You can just pull them out of your back pocket and throw them down whenever you need them.
Here are all the basic jump techniques that are being used at the same time. It's all about who executes the best. Before we talk about passing moves in a turn, let's talk about basic bike and body position in order to maximize your turning potential. Always keep your body weight centered between both wheels. When you have to really carve a tight line or make a quick cut, you always need to have your outside or top side pedal down. What this does is it lowers your center of gravity. Next, you want to lean your bike over into the turn while keeping your body relatively straight up. By keeping your body weight relatively straight up, you can apply more down pressure on your bike, which gives you better traction. Finally, turn your hips, shoulders, and head in the direction you are turning. By following these simple guidelines, you will have the best balance and traction while turning. Now you know the basics of turning. Let's look at how to pass in a turn.
Okay, guys, class is back in session. Talking about turns, first move we're going to work on is the block pass. Basically what happens, you enter the turn, you're the black guy. You enter the turn on the inside, guy goes on the outside, you come in, you take away his line, and then he follows you out of the turn. Now let's back it up. It's a lot easier said than done. First off, he's on the front of you, he's on the outside, you got to get inside and take away his position. Now, how are you going to be able to catch up to him here? A couple different ways. Carry more speed in the turn, maybe take an extra pedal. Your goal is to beat him to the second X. Okay? Now, another way you can be able to beat him that second X is you're going on a lower line, he's going more outside. Now, when you get to the second X, you have to have at least your elbow in front of him. If you guys are side by side, you're going to have a hard time pushing him up the turn. Okay? To really make a block pass work good, you have to push them up the turn and take away their line. Right here, it's 50-50. You can't really push them up. Here you can push them up. Here it's establishing position, 50-50 here. Here he has control of the turn. Okay? Key to block pass is establishing position. Right now you establish position. The rest you got to do, push him up the turn. He slows down, lets you in front of him, and you're coming out, pass him in the turn. Now that's how it looks on a chalkboard. Let's take a look at it in real life.
In this segment, we will be showing different examples of passing. I'm Colin Stiles. I'll be in yellow and white. Jeff Dean will be in yellow and red, while David Rush will be in blue. This is a block pass. I just go inside, take away his line, and come out of turn first. Notice I carry speed. I dive inside of him in a turn. Right here, my elbow's in front of him. I'm taking away line. He's forced to slow down and let me beat him. This is the wrong way to execute a block pass. Notice I never pass him. All I did was take my aim. Slow motion, you can see, I never establish position, never in front of him. If we come out of turn side by side, he's going to win every time.
Called the high-low because you drift up high, cut down low. This is kind of a low percentage move. It doesn't always work. It's more of a last resort move. It's something you do when you have nothing else to do. What happens is you enter the turn, and you're on the outside, a rider's on the inside. When he starts to drift up, about halfway, two-thirds of the way through the turn, you want to make a dive underneath his back tire and try to come out in front of him. The first thing you got to have is you got to have tire clearance. If you don't have tire clearance and you dive down, you can hit his back tire and crash. So you got to make sure you have tire clearance. After you have tire clearance, you really have to commit to that move, okay? Because a high-low is a low percentage. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Usually, whether or not it depends on whether it works, is if you make that quick cut. Like I said, there are some situations where doing the high-low is going to get you in the main.
Here's our first look at the high-low move. I go up high, cut down low. Here's another look at the high-low move from a different angle. As you notice, right here I got my tire clearance, I make my cut, and I'm on the move. Here's one more look at the high-low move at regular speed. Remember, the key is committing to your cut.
Okay, move number 3 we're talking about today is rail on a turn. Rail on a turn is basically just going around the outside of the turn, just like that. Now, rail on a turn is the fastest way to go through a turn because you never have to slow down. And in fact, when you're going around the outside, you find out you can get a lot more pedaling. You carry a lot more speed through the turn. The only problem with doing a railing if you're out front, as we talked about earlier, somebody can block pass you. So railing is one of those good moves to do if you're in the back of a pack. You're in last place coming the first turn. Most of you guys don't like being there, but sometimes you're there. Okay? These guys are riding middle lines. You're just going around the outside of the turn. Now you can't really see this here, but when we look out on the turn, you understand you're carrying more speed. Right here, you're starting to pick up speed, and you pass a guy down the next straightaway. Railing is one of those moves that you don't make your move here, but halfway down the next straightaway, you pass the guys in front of you.
All right, we're currently having the riders work on railing the berm. Railing a berm is critical when you're either behind a pack or you're trying to gain speed for the next straightaway. When you rail, you can gain a lot of speed, which hopefully can be put to use for following straightaway to pull riders down the straight. A lot of times on first turns, you don't want to risk high-lowing in fear of a rider behind you passing you once you leave the door open on the inside. When you rail a berm, you can generate speed. A lot of times ride right around top of the pack and then put that speed to use and down the next straightaway, pass riders down the straight. Stay high, stay high. Keep pedaling, keep pedaling. Come on high, stay high, just keep railing, keep railing, keep railing. Stay high, good. Stay high, stay high. Keep pedaling, keep going. Come on high.
Okay, now we're working on the slingshot. It's a lot like rail on a turn. It kind of starts off, what you're doing is you're just following the rider in front of you. About halfway through the turn, you see the rider start to cut down a little bit, you just drift up a little bit. When you drift up a little bit, it helps you allow to keep your momentum a little bit, start pedaling a little bit sooner. And it also, when you drift up, you get higher up in the berm. When you're higher up in the berm, you have more hill to come down, and chances are you can pass down the next straightaway. The slingshot is more of a setup move. It's something where you make a move here, and you don't really start passing until about halfway down the next straightaway. But this is a good way to get momentum and stick somebody down in the next turn.
Here we have the slingshot move. He's just going around the outside, railing on the turn. He hasn't passed him yet, but he's going to down the straightaway. In slow mode, first off, he's riding a higher line, and he's pedaling all around the turn. This allows him to keep his momentum and passing back down the straightaway. Last time is a slingshot. Remember, this is a setup move. It doesn't pay off until you're down the next straightaway.
Okay, we're on the next move called the high side. Everybody knows how to block pass. Now we're going to learn how to high side. High side is what I call a prevent move. It's something you do out front. It's a good way to keep your position. Because sometimes in the turn, you get passed. This is a good way to prevent yourself from getting passed. What's happening is you come in the turn, and you're on the outside. You got this guy in orange. He's trying to block pass you. Okay? Right here, the first thing you need to do to high side is start cutting down. Once you see him coming, you start cutting down and take away his line. Almost cut across his front wheel. Now right here, we talked earlier about establishing position. Right now, black guy has position in the turn. And if you don't let him in, going around the turn, you can carve a tighter line. He's going to slow down, and you're just going to keep taking up and keep taking off in the turn. Remember, the key to high side is to shut that door. You enter the door, you left the door open right here, boom, he's trying to enter in, boom, you're shutting the door on him, taking away his line. Now let's take a look at that in real life.
Let's first look at the high side. Notice I'm trying to keep from getting past. I'm starting to get heat on the inside. I see it coming, I cut across his front wheel and keep him from establishing position. Last time, remember, the high side is a good way to protect your lead.
Okay, this is the last move we're going to work on. It's known as the X-Pass. The X-Pass is the most advanced move that we're going through, and it's kind of a combination move. It's part high-low and part block pass. What happens is you're entering the turn on the outside of the turn. Usually, last time we did a high-low, we made our cut up here. Instead, we're going to make our cut at the beginning. Okay? You cut at the beginning, and you get underneath their back tire. If you carry enough momentum, chances are you'll be able to get up next to them. Now, when you get up next to them, of course, you should notice this turns into a block pass. Now all you got to do is just push them up, take away their line, and pass them down the straightaway. Now, Greg Romero, Steve Veltman, they're masters at this move. But like I said, it's a very difficult move to make happen. It's something, though, you want to keep in the back pocket because you never know when this move is going to help you win the main.
Here's our first look at the X-Pass. Notice it starts off as a high-low and turns into a block. As we slow-mo, you can see right here I make my cut. I'm underneath his back wheel. Now I'm starting to push him up the turn. Last time on the X-Pass, no, it's a very difficult move, but if you practice it, you can make it work for you. We only showed you a couple different moves in the turns. There are over 100 different ways to pass in a turn. Remember, there is no foolproof way to pass in a turn. Different situations call for different moves. Sometimes moves work, and sometimes they backfire. Practice the basic moves on your friends, and try to experiment around to see what works and when. Also remember, the turn strategies aren't always about passing someone else, but they are also about preventing people from passing you. Gate starts are the most important keys to winning a BMX race. Whoever wins the first turn will usually win the race. Everybody develops their own style of starts, but the one thing that's common to every good start is throwing your hips forward. Most of your physical strength comes from your hips, so you want to develop the best technique for you that allows you to get maximum power when throwing your hips. In this next section, we will talk about balance and setup, form, and mental focus, and how it relates to getting strong, solid starts.
Okay, so we're ready to start on gates. First we're going to discuss is balancing on the gate. If you can't balance on the gate and you have to have one foot off on the ground, chances are you're going to be late coming out of the gate. You want to get to the point where you can stand up, get in full order, and be balanced on the gate. A lot of balancing in the gate is all up here in your head. Just got to relax, okay? If you're moving your body weight around, it's a lot harder to balance. You just want to keep your body weight still, let your bike move a little bit. Keep your body weight still. Key to balancing is all in twisting your bars. If your bike starts leaning this way a little bit, all you got to do is twist your bars this way. It pulls you back that way. If your bike starts going this way a little bit, you just twist the bars this way. It pulls you back. You don't go like this with your bars. You twist them. Okay? You're not going like this. You twist. And all you got to do is just make minor little adjustments like that when you stand up. You just make a minor little adjustments and you get to the point where you're just not even doing it anymore. And that's when you know how to balance. Okay, we get our balance down, you understand how to balance, okay? Now we're going to start working on your setup. When you set up in the gate, you want to be relatively straight. You don't want your back tire way over here or way over there. You want your bike relatively straight. Now, most riders like to angle their bikes just slightly, just a little bit, to the direction of where their front pedal is. So if your front pedal's to the right, you want your back tire to be a little bit to the right. If you like to start left foot forward, you have your front foot a little bit to the left. Okay, first thing you want to make sure when you're getting your setup, your pad is relatively clean. You don't want any extra dirt, debris. You want to make sure your back tire is clean. I always like to spin it out a little bit just to make sure it's solid. After you set up, now whether you like to have your right foot forward or left foot forward, it doesn't matter. That's personal preference. I recommend maybe trying it either way. It's really whichever way you feel more comfortable on. But one thing you really want is you want your pedals to be level. You don't want your front pedal to be way low. You don't want it to be way high. When your pedals are level, that gives you balance. When you're getting a good start, it gives you strength and balance. Okay, general rule of thumb, if you're on a steep gate, you want your pedal just a little bit lower, tad bit lower. If you're on a really flat gate, really flat hill, you might want your front pedal a little bit higher. Okay, so we get our pedal position right, we're set up, we stand up in the gate. First thing we want to do is we want to get our arms relatively straight. You almost want to lock them out. You don't want them bent because when they're bent, you have a hard time throwing your hips. But if your arms are really straight, that gives you maximum power when you're throwing your hips forward, full range of motion. Second thing, you want your wrists to be slightly rolled. You don't want your wrists down here. You got no strength when your wrists are like that. you got no strength when your wrists are like this. You want them flat and just slightly rolled forward just a little bit. Next thing we're going to talk about is our front foot. You don't want your front foot for your heel to be all the way down. What happens when your heel's down is you end up utilizing your calf instead of your thigh. And we all know our thigh is stronger than our calf. So to really get your thigh and utilize your thigh on your front pedal, you want your front foot to be flat. Okay? Keeping your arms straight, you want to lean your body back just a little bit to where you feel a stretch right under your underarm. Okay? This right here is your maximum strength point. When you feel that stretch, right under your underarm. Okay? A good way to know if you're a little bit too far back is you can see about half of your seat. You know you're really good. If you can see your whole seat, chances are you're too far back. If you can't see your seat at all, you're too far forward. So you want to see about half your seat. Okay? You want to keep your front leg, both your legs slightly bent. You don't want your legs locked. It's impossible to pedal if your legs are straight. You gotta have your legs just slightly bent. The last thing you're doing is you're concentrating, you're focusing, and you really want to put your eyes forward. Because when you're in a gate, you want to be going that way. You want your head looking forward. And after you're set up strong, all you're focused on now is getting a good start and beating everybody the first turn.
After your setup is solid, you need to work on getting the body weight forward, which is known as a snap. The snap is one fluid motion we will break down into two parts. The first part of the snap is driving your front foot down while throwing your hips forward. Notice the bike doesn't move forward at this point. Right now, the explosive power is starting to build up. The second part of the snap consists of pulling up with the back foot while throwing the bike out with your shoulders. Both parts of the snap need to flow together into one movement. The ideal situation is to be executing the second part of the snap while the gate is falling down, so that when you throw out, your front wheel follows the gate down. You need to drive your body weight through the gate. The most common mistake that we see with young riders is they pull up on their front wheel on purpose, which causes their body weight to snap up instead of out. When you see a pro's front wheel come up off the ground, it is simply because he was driving his hips so hard that the front wheel comes up naturally. As you get stronger, at starts you will find that your front wheel will come up also naturally, but don't try to pull your front wheel up out of the gate. Another common mistake that we see in gate starts is when riders throw their chest instead of their hips. Remember that all of your power comes from your hips. Another common mistake we see is that riders throw their bike forward before throwing their hips forward. What happens is they usually hit the gate, which kills the momentum, or they leave late and don't follow the gate down. Which brings us to the next aspect of getting good starts, timing. After your setup is good, your snap is solid, and the next thing you really have to work on is timing the gate. Remember, you want to start moving your body a split second before the gate releases. Ideally, you want to time it to where your hips are all the way forward into your handlebars, right when the gate starts to release. This way you can follow the gate down with perfect timing. With timing the gate, some people like to go on the sound command, while others like to watch the lights. The best way to find out timing whenever you go to a new gate is to leave a little late, and then slowly increase when you leave, a little bit sooner each time until you barely tap the gate. When you barely tap the gate, then you know your timing is perfect. The last and probably most important aspect of gates that we haven't discussed yet is your mind. The one thing that brings everything together is your mind. Your mind controls how your setup relates to your snap and when to start moving. You have to believe that you're in total control of your own destiny. You have to mentally want to win more than any other rider on the gate. Some riders have this skill programmed into their brain at birth, and others have to learn it themselves. You have to be able to filter everything else out and focus only on your start. When you can get to the point where nothing else enters your mind except winning, then you know you're going to be performing at the best of your ability. To increase winning potential, I recommend reading some positive thinking books or books about sports psychology. Make sure that you practice your mental focus on and off the track. Most people think about training their body, but they often overlook training their mind. Most of the time, it's your mind that makes the difference between winning and losing. In watching this video, we hope that you have learned as much as we have in putting it together. As we found out, if you really want to learn something, teach it to someone else. Take everything that you've learned in this video and put it to use out of the track. Remember, no matter what brought you into BMX, BMX is meant to be fun and exciting. It has given us many opportunities in life, and we hope that it can do the same for you. Over the years, BMX has kept us out of trouble by giving us something to do. We've been able to travel, meet new friends along the way. We sometimes wonder where we'd be if we didn't get into BMX. Oh well, all we know is we had a lot of fun BMXing.
Okay, we down? We down, Bobby T.